The one question on everyone's mind watching this is, will AI replace humans? Will it replace our jobs? Should we be scared of that AI is going to take our jobs and do much, much better work than we do already? Hello, welcome to the Yelo Room podcast. I am so excited to finally be doing this after a while. So tell me, how is the job search going so far? Share it in the comment section. I would like to read them. I have some good news to share with you. All our guests we featured here on the podcast who were searching at the time they recorded with us have gotten their dream roles. Rich Owens is an engagement director at Salesforce. Urel now works as a COBOL programmer in a bank. And another of our guests whose goal was to publish her book has published her book a month ago. So this is to give you hope that your offer letter is coming sooner than you think. So don't give up. The Yelo Room podcast is a safe space where job seekers come in and share their stories and vulnerable moments. This is a space to air out your thoughts, your insights, how you think the job market can be better, and what you've always wanted to say to hiring managers. Guess what? You can be our next guest. I will drop a link in the description below so that you can, join and be part of us. So now let's head on to our professor, our guest for today, an astute professor, Professor Armen. Welcome to the Yelo Room podcast, Professor Armen.
Thank you.
I met Professor Armen through one of the courses he taught on AI. As a matter of fact, this podcast was as a result of the chat we had. He is a professor, as I reintroduced him, and he's making impact globally. He has worked with IBM for over 32 years, and right now he's teaching artificial intelligence. So welcome to your podcast, Professor Armen. It's so good to have you here.
Dear Victoria, thank you for having me here. What a pleasure.
So let's talk about you. Can you share us through your career journey, how we started and what you're doing right now?
What a great question. Meaningful and a difficult question. Long time ago, in a land, but not too far from here, an hour's drive, I came across this poem saying by my at the high school graduation ceremony. Coach Rebecki, he was giving the speech, and he said, "Let thy vocation be thy bliss." That stuck with me. That's what I want. How can I love what it is that I am doing? It seemed that the doing part was easier. Finding the what has been the challenge. It took a while for me, I will get there, but finally the pieces fell together. I've always been somewhat jealous and in awe of people who knew from the very beginning, this is what I want to do. It's their sense, their identity, and they pursued it. And I know very, very few people. My sister, one of them, my dad, and frankly, my son. Early on, there was no confusion, a little path of travel, and next thing you know, they embarked upon. One interesting thing that I noted about my sister and my dad is that before long, they took on their own work. It wasn't so much working for someone else, but it was working. Fascinating that path traveled. As I looked back to see how did my path unravel, now that I think back, I'm starting to see there are some areas that, gosh, wish I had paid more attention to then. One of them is a personality type. Matters. It makes a difference. I say don't go against the grain. If you're an introvert, play it. Einstein was an introvert. If you're an extrovert, there's a whole world that would cater to that way of being. So these are really interesting. Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. Sigmund Freud was an extrovert. Carl Jung was an introvert. And towards the latter part of their relationships, it became quite trenchant. There's a lot of rancor going on between those two because they couldn't agree which one was a better way of being. And now we know there is no, that one is not any better than the other. For example, a person that would think of themselves as an extrovert might find themselves good in sales positions. Where I worked for over 20 years at IBM, salespeople were just that. They could go out there and with their presence, or with their emotional maturity, or with their sense and vision of talking, they could cajole the customer and say, look, what I have, the solution that I have, is really what you need. The customer at that point, the client, would say, oh, well, that sounds really interesting. Could you give me a demo? I'd like to see this in action. That's when the salesperson goes, one moment, please, calls the tech seller, different from. Now, the tech seller is perhaps one that's in between an introvert and an extrovert. But they might go to the client side at that time and demo something that, well, they have been demoing all along. They're quite well versed. The client goes, oh, I really like this. Say, can you do this with my data? I have a subset of data that I can give it to you for you. That's when the tech seller goes, one moment, please. Calls the solution architect. Now, the solution architect, they're the ones that are the patent holders. They need the quietness. They need the focus. They sit in their room and they just code away. They build and they invent. Frankly, without each one of them, the company will not move forward. You need all this. So some of my teachers lately, I changed my methodologies in my classroom. One of our assignments is a group presentation. Would you believe it? For my students, typically there are about 25, 27 of them or so, finding a partner to work with is harder than actually deploying an app. It's like, but they're sitting next to people. Right, the class is packed. At the end of the course, they still have no partners. And I decided to make it a little bit easier on them. And I said, look, once you find your partner, if you're comfortable doing the PowerPoint presentations, that's you. Don't change it. You don't have to do the code. You don't have to do the demo. Give it to Alice. Alice would do the coding and demoing. And Alice, please have a seat. You don't have to stand. Well, Alice may not be all that hidden with talking and the presentations and so forth, but she actually can put together an amazing demo and have it explained by the person who's doing the PowerPoint. One other part that I wish I had come across sooner, and I wonder if my audience, what they might think about this, Victoria, is look back at your parents. Look back, maybe uncle or a cousin. A few of them were doing what it is that you're destined to do. My mother was a teacher. My uncle, he was a professor. Little did I know that's a code, that's a DNA. You can't fight it. It's in you. Just by looking back and seeing what background they brought that they loved to do, that's sort of built in you. No sense fighting against the grain. Perhaps the answer lies therein.
Yeah.
A fascinating journey, Victoria.
Wow. So for job seekers listening right now, right? Because you mentioned that your sibling, your sister and your uncle and even your son are working for themselves, right? So
not my son, but he's young. He's 22. So, but he has found them.
Yeah. So what would you say to job seekers that have been looking for jobs for such a long time? Would you say they should also look inwards and think of other areas that they can actually get sources of income from instead of just like looking for a job?
Not so much at first. It helps to be employed at first, gain that experience, and if nothing else, to gain what it means to work with people, co-workers, colleagues, collaborations. I did interviews at IBM, and we would usually do these at hackathons, where all the folks were in. And it wasn't so much, we weren't looking for, oh my God, who's doing the amazing coding in here, or who stayed up the whole night. But we were looking for somebody that had enough of a push and enough of a pull. They weren't overbearing. I got this. Me, myself, and I. No, they worked with a team. For them, it was important to pass the baton. All along, we knew who was the numero uno in this team. But coming from them, and this sounded in the interview, you could hear the we, the us. That right there is something that AI cannot touch yet. To connect. We humans, we connect. We connect sharing. I'd say to folks who are nowadays, when we apply, there's a button down there. This wasn't there before. This is a new thing. It says easy apply. Easy. When companies used to get maybe dozens of resumes per month, because you had to create and write this and that and send it, now they're getting thousands. So click on thousands per month. It is impossible for any human resources department to scour and go through all of them. So there's an AI machine. It's like a radar. It goes around. And that AI machine, a company puts words that are important for them. Blockchain, LangChain, generative AI, you name it, tech writing, whatever that they pursue. So I usually tell my cohort, my students, get your resume packed with these keywords. Named entity detection, that's what actually picks up the words. And it's not just typing in master of Python. Get a certificate in that. Put the number, the date for each one of them. Now, when everybody clicks easy apply, and so do you, and frankly, by you, I mean job seekers, it goes, it's the LinkedIn, interestingly enough, not a paper resume that much. The paper resume and the LinkedIn takes it and categorizes and classifies it. That's what gets scoured and read. Whoop, blockchain, whoop, something pops up. And everything else, it kind of falters and falls behind. So that's when they call somebody and say, could we have an interview? Your resume looked interesting. So it's quite a thing. These micro credentials, I'm not just talking masters and PhD, the micro credential, certificate, actual certificate, they get caught by the radar.
Yeah. So let's talk about you and what you're doing now. So we've been hearing about artificial intelligence. A lot of people are scared about it. A lot of people are having double thoughts about it. But at the same time, it is actually helping us, making our lives easier, right? Most of us, we use it to save time, basically. So we give the more taxing and repetitive tasks to artificial intelligence to do for us, right? So now you're the professor here, so I want you to educate us on what artificial intelligence really is.
What a great question. I could actually answer it with one word. Let me start with a little background on that. Let's say we are graduated in bachelor's and now a lot of there's AI and engineering, actually bachelor's in artificial intelligence or data science. At IBM, my title was a data scientist. So you get sent to the client side. The client is waving their hands and they're saying, I want to infuse AI in all my workflows and processes. Okay, excellent. So we go there, and the first question we would ask from the client is, well, sir, what is it that you would like to do with AI once we introduce it? Oh, I want to automate my workflows and process. Automate? You don't need AI.
Yeah.
AI is about prediction. I've been doing automation with a cron task since 1980s.
Yeah.
Predicts the next pixel. It predicts the next word. In fact, one of my books that I have, I don't know if this is flipped. Is this flipped or can it?
Yeah, prediction machines, I can see, yeah.
That's what this entire system does. It is here to predict, whether it's regression, classification, or deep learning. Because regression, you look back to see what transpired, what happened. Fantastic. Yeah. Now I want to predict what will come next. I want to predict perhaps what might be the next strain of COVID that's coming 5 months from now. Maybe I can create the vaccine for it today, for a disease that doesn't exist. But we need confidence. Think of AI as a prediction machine. In fact, I would even encourage our job seekers to, instead of using so much AI, call it machine learning. That's what it does. When it is a deep learning or just a single perceptron or sum of squared errors, MSE, mean sum of squared errors, that is a prediction. I have a line and it has to be very fair to all the dots that are on my graph, y-axis, x-axis, and there's a line. And this has to be just right, not too far from this one, not too close to the point over here. It's a prediction.
Wow. So that's a different way of seeing artificial intelligence. So how does it work? How does it work? Since now we have a different definition from what we know of AI to be, now it's about prediction. So how does it work?
It's a really good question. I suppose the second question, or the third, that the consultant, newly minted consultant that's working at Meta, IBM, Google, and so forth. And I do recommend starting off at large companies. Just a side note, if you work at large establishment and maybe you're not so happy in the division, the room, the people you're with, it's not so much unhappiness, but it doesn't seem to be a right fit. You can find another room, another division upstairs, downstairs. That would be a better fit for you. And in time, you can move. I moved a lot at IBM from various jobs to jobs until it came all together. I'm like, that's me. I found what it is that I want to do. I'm a teacher. I love to teach. There are fancy words for it: a trainer, professor, instructor. It's called a teacher. As to that, the other question that the person would ask is that, well, what sort of a data do you have? That now that we have decided we want to make a prediction, I need to know, what is this machine going to ingest? Oh, my data is on a CSV file, Excel spreadsheets. It's a SQL call from a database. You think to yourself, structured data. Structured data is an entirely different approach from all else. So you put on your statistics cap. You think in terms of logistic regression. You think in terms of classification. There are some algorithms that work well with that, support vector machines, Bayesian inferences. And then the client comes and says, oh, by the way, I also want to make a prediction from some unstructured data. Oh, what might that be? It could be language, could be vision. Oh, how interesting. All of a sudden, the approach, the mindset changes. Now we're talking about algorithms that aren't just statistics, but they harken on some calculus, to be exact. Two constructs of calculus: integrals and derivatives. I often ask my students, what's the difference between an integral and a derivative? I think once I got the answer that I was looking for. They do the opposite. An integral, area under the curve. Imagine when you're making your bed and like the sheet falls down. And you want to find out its x, y, and z axis. You want to find out all the area under that. Derivative is the slope. When they say gradient descent, you want to descend towards the mattress, the lowest point on that sheet. And learning rate, slope is learning rate. y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. It's a derivative. You use partial derivatives, you can keep the numerator constant or the denominator. And as long as that division gives us a minus number, dj divided by dw, j is the activity, w is the weights that we put in. Now, what's interesting is that there are two constructs when you think of a neural network. Now, since it's unstructured, I am thinking neural networks. I'm thinking deep learning. If you think of a neural network, neurons, much like our own brains, there's a synapse, and, the synaptic junctions. Axon is the long arm of it, and these synapses. And over here are the synapses, and then there's another neuron over here. So there's a neurotransmitter that travels between this and that. There are numerous neurotransmitters. Dopamine is one of those that gets us in trouble. Because that way it's built. You've got addiction, not just habit. So scientists, and actually it happened in Dartmouth College in New Hampshire, 1954 maybe, they gathered together and they coined the term artificial intelligence. Is that after a while, when a current goes, it's a potassium ion channel. And typically, the current may not be that strong between these two. But after a repetitive way of doing it, especially if it gives you a reward, the reward system is this connection gets stronger. So when the signal comes, it wouldn't go over here, it would go to this connection. And then that would find something else, and it would just make that connection. How we figured out that a neural network might work. The lines that you see between the circles, you can imagine there are the circle, the nodes, there's input, the hidden layers, there's the output. Two things happen. The line is the weights. What happens in the circle is called the bias. Now, if you think of the example of my line, this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis, and I have dots. Property, value, dollars, how much number of bedrooms and how much that house costs. So of course, if you have more bedrooms, it's going to be like cost more to buy that house. Now there are homes that are they're only 1 or 2 bedrooms, but they're in an amazing, most wanted, plush location of the city. It's just 2 bedrooms. It's 1.2 million. And there are homes that have 6 bedrooms, but they're far out there. There's no public transport. Like 6-bedroom house, hardly around here. It's perhaps 600,000 at best. So these are outliers that we need to think if we want. So how can I draw a line that would be a really good fit? There's an outlier in here. It has to be not too far from that. And there's one over here, but I don't want it to be too close to that. I want this line to do justice to all those dots. But there's 2 things I need to do. One of them is I can move this with just the slope. Hold it in here and just change the slope a little bit. That's what weights do. Weights means salience. How important is it? There's an old saying, "This too shall come." What does the machine know that? How does it know? So it predicts. Some people do say, "This too shall manifest." Some people do say, "This too shall go." Not that
Yeah.
many. So I put a lot of weight, $1,000 if you say this too shall pass. Now, that may not be enough. If I have a lot of outliers out here and I think they're important, I can't just dismiss them. I actually need to move the whole line. It's not enough to just change the slope. I got to move it, right, to make it a better fit. That's what bias does. That takes place in the circles of the neural. The bias is no statistics. Could be if it's a yes or no, true or false, 1 and 0 would be logistic regression. If it is yes, no, maybe it would be classification. And there are various constructs, rectifiable, linear unit, ReLU is one of the commonly used ones that they use. So usually it helps for the consultant that's coming in to now ask the question of what's your data type and have the background math in there. When we go to generative AI, some people say, I want to use generative AI now, based on a large language model. It's what linear algebra is the name of the game. How to take a matrix, columns, rows, multiplied by a vector. If you take a picture of me, it's a vector. RGB, red, green, blue, right? Those are now they're using HSV, hue, saturation value, but that will work too. So draw an arrow. Vectors have direction. Draw an arrow. So let's see. Black is lack of color. White is all of the colors. Sun is white. Is all the whole spectrum is there. So this line that I'm drawing in here, when it starts with the hair, it's probably lack of color would be RGB, maybe 0. There's some grays in here, so it might be 10, 15. You get to the white part. Now it's almost 200. 198. There's a pimple over here, so the color is a little bit darker. And then it hits this and gets so. This vector, it starts to tell the tale of how. So there's a lot of them. And then there's convolutional neural networks. Imagine you have small flashlights, convolute. You have a lot of small flashlights. They're very strong. At first, the one flashlight, you shine it on this side of my head. It's a circle, right? So it catches some of the colors here, some of the colors here. They're different. It's a vector, and there's numbers on this. Bam, 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 until it finishes up the length of the vector. An index is inside it. And then you'll shine another flashlight over here. They kind of transpose each other like a Venn diagram. It reinforces the center, and this one is starting to tell the tale of, oh, we got different colors. It doesn't know it's an eyebrow. It doesn't know it's a this. So what it does, in the beginning, it finds edges. This is an edge. We don't know if it's a chin. It's an edge. These are edges. Another layer comes and says, oh, look at these fascinating creatures. They have a edge in here. In my case, I think it's a ridge. Then these creatures have two other edges in here. Wow. So it makes a clustering. It makes a generalization out of this. It's all vectors now. And layer by layer by layer, it gets more and more. This distance might be a telltale of sign of aging. If you have a lot of these lights in here and you start to see these lines, that's a telltale sign of certain aging. So you can predict how old this might be. Well, after a while, it comes up. It used to be. It used to be when I was working at IBM. Early on, we took on vision, and then we passed that on. But we use vision mostly in our asset management. You would need, I think, 50 pictures of me. 50, one from here, one from there, one from here, give the machine. So it's making all these vectors, all the numbers are there, they're clustered. On the first picture that it has not seen, a new picture the machine hasn't seen, it didn't give it, it would say with a high confidence it's the same guy. We can type in up underneath, it becomes semi-supervised and so forth, or supervised. A few years later, we could do the same accuracy with 97% confidence, the same guy with 12 pictures. One of my mentors, David Kenny. David Kenny, he was the boss of the weather company. IBM bought the weather company, so he came on and he really brought on he was the one that actually rejuvenated the what. He brought on the sense of, look, stop selling products. Let's sell APIs, the API economy. And he's famous, now he's at Reuters, he's the CEO at Reuters, and he's famous for having said, it's not the entity, it's not the company or the university, although it's usually universities, that can come up with this master algorithm. It's the one entity, typically universities, that can do maximum AI with minimum data. I see a little light coming through the curtain. I knew we were going to have this conversation. I hadn't even had my cup of coffee, a glass of water, which is the first thing I do. I knew that this was going to be a great day. You can make that prediction with that much data. You could say in the prior mornings when I woke up and there was a nice light coming through, it has pre-trained me. I'm a pre-trained model, but that was not much of a data. So it's a hunch. Does the machine have a hunch? It's fascinating. That would lead now to the next generation of AI systems.
So on the topic of AI, the one question on everyone's mind watching this is, will AI replace humans? Will it replace our jobs? Should we be scared of that AI is going to take our jobs and do much, much better work than we do already?
Priceless question. Priceless question. So there's a name for that. It's not here yet. It's called AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. When that happens, our jobs, our work, the way we live will be different, drastically different, not slightly different. Right now, I don't need to have a master's in English language to write a compelling email. I'll give you an example. Some time ago, we resolved this now. My son, when he would park his car, he would park it such that no one else could park around it. I'm like, can you just park it a little bit this way, that way? There's 4 of us. We each have a bunch of cars. And so I was really upset one day after having said this numerous times. So just like, oh, I said, you know what? I'm going to write. So with hand paper, I wrote a stating memo and put it down on dresser. So when he comes back from work, he can see it. Went upstairs, I'm like, I don't know about that. Same thing, copy pasted it to ChatGTP. I said, ChatGTP, can you make this sound a little bit more compassionate, but keep the rigor of what I really want to say, but take that rancor out of it. I looked at the writing, I'm like, my goodness. I printed that out and I gave it to him. He came back to me when he saw that letter. He said, okay, Dad, thanks. I'll do it. So in a sense, it can raise the bottom rung of the people who are not masters of the language, or who want to make a prediction, but they don't have the wherewithal of it. But this machine can help. Will it replace jobs? We'd like to think. Our prior CEO at IBM, Ginny Ramet, is famous for having called this not artificial intelligence, but augmented intelligence. It is here to work with me. In the coming years, large language models are going to give way to large vision models and then large action models. It's one thing for me to type in there, can you tell me about Arabian coffee? Sure, man. What an amazing thing you will tell me about Arabia. Great. When you pour me one now. That's when humans at that time have to get to know how to work with not another human or with the robot. A little story on AGI. You might say, but when do we know? When can we say the switch has clicked and now we're in the era of AGI? From my understanding, from my readings, it's when the Alan Turing test has passed. We have passed that test. It's a grand challenge. It's a grand challenge. It's tough, and we're not there yet. That is, you get somebody who is well versed with AI. You can tell that this thing was written by ChatGPT. They're an AI engineer. And they sit down and they're listening to a conversation taking place behind a closed curtain. After a while, this is a person with a PhD in AI. They come and tap them on the shoulder. One of those was a machine. Which one? What? What do you mean? People. They were yelling at each other. At some point, each one of them started to cry. They had sarcasm. If you listen to the AI machine now, they open the curtain and one of them is a laptop. They're really nice large language models when you say, so-and-so, Watson, I love you. I'm lonely. Can you help me? Sure, Armen. You're like the movie Her, but did the volume ever go up? Is there sarcasm in that? Well, I don't think so. The machine started to laugh. Literally, you can hear laughter from the laptop, from the machine. It's not there yet. That's the Alan Turing test. We passed that. We have a machine that has artificial general intelligence. They are a smidgen better than the human in all facets. No one area that even then the machine might struggle. There's a book behind me over here. It's written the other way, Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown. I so recommend that book. Us humans, we make connections. We connect by sharing. And when we share things that we're a little bit vulnerable in, it builds a stronger connection. It builds empathy in you. If I say to you, Victoria, I think I have a problem. I need to keep my emotions in control. And it's something hard for me to say. This is hard for me to say to you because you'll find out that I am a lesser of a person and I have work to do, which is true. We all struggle. We all have our struggles, all Earthlings, 8.1 billion. Be able to share that that made me vulnerable because you might not like me. You might say, gosh, I want to deal with this. Usually not. You know what, me too. My problem is I'm addicted to Amazon. I'm constantly shopping. I'm addicted to, addiction doesn't have to be drugs and alcohol. It could be, any behavior can become. To confess that, AI can't do that. Us humans, we can build relationships. So I tell my students, that's why you're doing partnership.
So what will you say to job seekers listening right now? How do we prepare? Because it's inevitable that it's going to happen once the Turing test is passed. So how do you think we should prepare for then, particularly job seekers listening to this now? They're literally maybe at the edge of their seats. How do they prepare for that time?
AGI is a hard one to wrap our minds around, and Lord knows what would we do. I can imagine a city. There are no automobiles. There is no car insurance. You don't own the car. Pods, they don't even have a front and a back. They pick you up, they drop you off. There is no parking meters. There is no road rage. There are no accidents. Car accidents. Start. These things are perfect. They come. They all have green. Asphalt, not much asphalt anymore. More of the green part. They do low-level surgeries, suturing, and they come and they cook the food for us. At night, they police the streets. They go back to their own town. They elect a representative amongst themselves. They have a leader. That would be a little bit scary because that harkens something that I don't think either of us will see in our lifetime, but shortly thereafter, latter part of the century, ASI, artificial super intelligence. I will go
Wow.
back to your question. That, I can't even wrap my mind, but that's when the machine is aware of itself. Armen, did I hurt your feelings yesterday? Do humans like me? I'm so sorry I said that. Will you forgive me, please?
Wow.
Self-aware. Self
Wow.
that's a different thing. As far as job seekers go, I say as much as you can collect certificates and badges first for the sake of the resume catching the bleep of the radar of these companies. Number two, emphasize what the AI can't do. Design thinking is one such circuit. This is about uh, about being human at its most. There's wonderful courses that are on that. Emotional intelligence is epic. Mindfulness, take that on. Mindfulness it's quite a thing. It's quite a thing. I'm well versed in it, but I need to be better practiced at it. Much more. Don't beat on yourself. This I used to say that my worst enemy is me. More specifically, this over here. This is the reptilian brain. All mammals have it. This, the prefrontal cortex, is totally underused in humans. Fight, flight, freeze. You see the email, what? Somebody in the traffic cuts you off. Not once do the patterns that fight, flight, and freeze come and get stuck in here. Maybe the person that's driving that fast is in an emergency and needs to go get to that. I saw that. There was this one lady that was just like right behind me. No one gets behind me like that. I got the twin turbo in here. No one. If anything, it's me. And I just like pulled over and I looked at her like ready for a fight. I'm sorry, I have to go. And I could tell there was an emergency. Maybe the husband fell. What are you going to do? Drive nice and slow? You gotta get home. Uh, Mindfulness, prayer.
Yeah, prayer.
It really builds that connection from here to here, where it's not
Mm.
get stuck in here. Oftentimes, the wisest, the smartest, the best thing to do is close that mouth. That's power. But that's hard. That's
Yeah.
hard. Don't say it. The other person is like, what did I say? I'm getting no feedback now from this person. It's that areas is where it comes through at the interview. And when it does come through, then the person who's interviewing you, all things considered equal, is asking one question. Can I work with this person? Master scientist, 2 PhDs and 5 Nobel Prizes. Can I work with this person? I can't work with this guy. Me and myself did this. Yeah, next. So really interesting now how to bolster our sense of humanness.
Hmm. Wow. So now still on job seekers, because those are the people that we are. How do you have an idea of how the job market will be in the time of AGI? Like, will there actually be a job market? Right? Will there be a need for humans?
Interestingly enough, I think the trades will be around.
Mm.
It's hard for an AI, it's very smart robotic AI. You need robotics now, not just ChatGPT. The thing needs to move atoms, to do plumbing, engineering, to do mechanical engineering. You have to study. They say they bring the car to the mechanic. My son is a master mechanic. And my car is making a pss, 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 pss sound every time I turn the wheel. Go tell that to the robot. Robot, my car is making a pss, pss sound every time I turn the wheel. I have no idea, but I know that the human, you see, the human has something the robot doesn't. Experience. The machine or the LLM is trained, well trained on a lot of data points. But trained is not the same as experience. That's a different thing. So my son has experience. He's seen the likes of this before. It's not the same as a trained on various issues. Has a hunch based on not much data. My car is making a chug, chug, chug sound. That was it. That's all the data. So he knows that perhaps it's the CV, constant velocity joints have rubbed off and oil has leaked. There are little balls when you turn the wheel that help the wheel to turn. And sometimes the rubber bushing gets torn and the oil falls off of it. And those little balls that are there, constant velocity joints, they grade each other. So when you turn the steering wheel, it goes tick, tick, tick. I just know that one because it happened to my car. But they have that experience, so that's something that the advanced AI for the foreseeable future. Coding, I don't even teach coding in my classes. The machine is doing a great job. Perhaps what we would do then is to polish that code. ChatGPT, please give me a code how to use LangChain to connect two large language models. You want to build agent. You can have two LLMs, customer and service desk. Each one is an agent. It's a different conversation. We need to connect these two words. LangChain. So let that word appear somewhere in our LinkedIn resume. That catches a lot of radar if you're interested in AI. But for us humans, it's built in. It's not a training thing. It's more of a variance approach. Yeah, I think the trades are here to stay.
Yeah.
Technical writing you had written,
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah. Yeah. So
We'll come at the end and we fine tune it.
yeah.
Maybe the technical writing, we wanted to have a bit of a different flair to it. Thank you for
Yeah.
giving amazing documentation, ChatGPT. I love it. I'll make some changes there.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Right. So can AI think like humans? I think as at now we've not gotten to the ASI as you said. So
AGI will.
yeah.
AGI will. And more. Not now.
Wow.
Not today.
Yeah. So what are the risks with artificial intelligence? What risks or benefits, or let's start with benefits? What are the benefits of AI, and what are the risks of AI?
Yeah, the benefits and the weaknesses of AI, right? Currently.
Yeah.
But the benefits is that it can raise all of us to a certain level of proficiency. I can write better emails. I can do better code. I want to hire somebody and I want them to use ChatGPT to do their PowerPoint presentation. I don't want them to do it. I'm paying you all this money. I don't want you to spend time doing PowerPoint presentation or building the template. Ask the machine to give you a very nice template, build it, the slides. I want 5 slides, 5 bullet points in each one of the slides. Put animation in there. And this is the topic. Don't talk about this, but talk more about that. And prompt engineering. So you never say, thank you. Well, let's go back. Yeah, bah. Well, you missed something over here. Can you fix this? I don't agree with you very much. I think these two are really different. And if you notice, every time you say you go back to the chat GTP, I don't agree with you. The machine comes back and says, you really have a good point. I wanted to say to me one time, I'm sorry, Armen, but you're absolutely downright wrong. I got this. What you're thinking is just not the way to go. Does it ever say that? No. That's a really good point, Armen. Let's elaborate on that. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So can AI be trusted? Can AI, or would you say it's based on the companies or like the big tech that are actually training these AIs?
Good question. Good. Trustworthiness of AI has 5 pillars. There's a lot that goes into the how verifiable it is, and those 5 pillars that that can be really put in place also depend on what it was trained on. Let's, for example, now we're moving from large language models to large vision models.
Hmm.
And videos is tougher. Videos is time series. Language, vision, videos. It's different story, different constructs. So you know the news bleeds, leads. When I watched the news, I stopped watching it because they should call it the obituaries instead of the news. That's all it is. Who
Hmm.
died? Who killed who and who died? With half an hour. And then there's one little section is about the weather. That's what I would just want to say. So now with this with fake videos and so forth, you can really have show a video of police brutality on the streets. What bleeds leads, right? Everyone's pumped. They're looking at their newscasts and going, "Oh my God, look at these police! What they're doing!" And the next day they go up to the police district and say, "What were you guys doing? That was brutal." Police is like, "What are you talking about? That was one of the most peaceful protests ever. I made friends with one of those protesters. Actually, they had a table to the side. They were giving coffees. I wish everybody protested like that. Where's the burnt car? Where? Show me. There's no glass broken in here." That's not what the video showed. So that's a attack method that it comes. Another area that with vision, what is it trained on? Well, internet pictures, Instagram, Facebook, Google Images. This is what it's trained on. It's quite a bit. But is it trained on finding out if this dot over here is malignant or benign? Maybe not. So this is a specific domain. I want to go to the doctor and say, "Doctor, what is this? It keeps getting big, it keeps getting smaller. Do I have cancer?" Doctor's like, "Oh my God, let's do a little, I got to take that out. We got to do a little surgery on your arm." Doctor comes back and says, "Yeah, sorry about that. That was just an aging spot. You'll be okay." "What did you, no, my hand is in a cast." Won't it be nice if I'd say, "Let me take a picture of that for you"? The AI machine has seen a lot of dots of all kinds and sorts. With a high confidence, can come back and say that this is aging spot. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. Leave it. So the doctor can say that, and at most, maybe we'll do a little biopsy just to be sure. They can just take a little piece of it, and they're like, "Yeah, you're good. That was fine." But that didn't come from the internet. So I just rely on the trained vision from the internet and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and whatnot. This isn't in there. Can I trust the large vision models now? I don't know. So domain specific is really, really important now.
So in this age of artificial intelligence, how would you advise job seekers to prepare for it and also to adapt to it, since it's obvious that that is the future and we can't stop it, we can't do anything about it. So how do job seekers prepare for this?
Yeah, and the preparation doesn't even have to be for some future reckoning. Just today,
Yeah.
challenge. Just today, enough challenge. One thing that I wish recruiters would bear in mind when we come back to job seekers is that this resume, this LinkedIn that the recruiter, human resources came across is not a telltale sign of who
Yeah.
they is.
Yeah.
Words. If you just rely on that, and try to fill your company with people who happen to hit the radar, beep, blank checks and that. And you end up somebody who knows that tool, but can I work with this person? That question was never answered.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing, we did a project at IBM a while back, data science project with US labor, government labor, US government of labor. And their premise was that we have gaps in employment. So there are those who are skilled, but they don't have the LinkedIn and the talks and the computers and this and that. This person has been taking care of her grandmother for years, passed away. Now she's taking care of her mother, didn't get a chance to go to the work. There's a nursing home over there that needs a caregiver, caretaker. Never be connected. There's no LinkedIn, there's no resume, nothing. How would they find this one person who's really good in giving care? I want to find that person. In prison, what they do a lot, not I don't know firsthand, but I've read about it. They they mechanics there, they change brakes, the police car brakes and tires and so forth. That's what they do. And when they come out, the mechanic shop can't find mechanics. This person is right across the street, lives over there, just got out of Walpole State Prison, and they are a really good mechanic. It'll never be found. How can I find that person? How can I fill the gap of talent that is not on the internet, but they exist? So if I can use an AI system to not just go after the PhDs and the masters of the universe with the amazing LinkedIns and all those keywords in there, but the folks who have the talent but are not found. on the internet. Maybe AI can help there.
So to job seekers, looking for job, yeah, still searching, frustrated, discouraged, what advice would you give to them? Because I, for one, for example, when I took the course, the AI course, I really loved it. It was so easy, so simple to understand. And I enrolled for the course. I reached out to you on LinkedIn. I immediately replied. I was so surprised that you actually replied to my message. And we had a chat, and look where we are. My chat with you made me realize, made me sit down and actually think of other things I can actually focus on while looking for a job. And this idea of the podcast came. So I would like you to give advice to job seekers, yeah, that are discouraged and frustrated. What advice will you say to them?
So many of them. So many of them. My students, family members, they're all plagued with this frustration. It could be that after an easy answer would be, but it's not very helpful, plug away. Keep sending, keep sending. Yeah, but frustration is mounting too.
Yeah.
It's like after a year and a half of keep sending, what, should I do this another 5 years? Nothing's happening. It might be like the case for my sister, or like the case for my father, that you have to do your thing. It's not employed by. It is some seed funding. It is some put some things together. And it is, but first and foremost, perhaps the bigger challenge is to find out what you are passionate in, what you're talented in. Usually talent doesn't pay well. I'm talented in various things, but how to make that a vocation, blissful. But how do I make that a vocation? It's easier said than done. But maybe that is the solution. Once that talent is put in place, found, then maybe I need to do my thing. And at first it's hard. There is not much of an income coming, but Lord knows when that thing clicks, it will
Yeah.
come. What you're doing right now is something that I'm actually now watching on YouTube videos, podcasts. There are folks who run podcasts, and I learn from them. Various. I came across one not too long ago. It's a female. She's a bodyguard. She's a secret agent bodyguard for the presidents. And now she it's her thing. She goes on other people's podcasts, or she has her own, and the interaction is much like this. Oftentimes, there are cameras, and they are actually sitting together across the table. The camera spans between them. But this now gets to and the conversations that goes on. That's where the talent of the job seeker is, not finding the working for someone, but finally doing the thing, finally realizing that in certain sections of in certain countries, when the light goes down, it gets dark. There is no studying. It's dark. If we have lights by our house, solar lights, they lit up. So one group of people, they like to play soccer, and they got a soccer ball. Inside it is a battery and has a solar thing to it. You can play all day with it, and then at night you bring it inside the house. You have a light. You don't need electricity. You can study. You can cook. Four of those lights. It's a solar light that is on in the house, and now we have brought light inside all the homes. It's as though somebody has electrical wiring on. No such thing. There's no grid over there, but the houses are lit. It's for the job seeker. Sit back and see where is the pain that your audience, the people that you want to reach, not so much. It's also yours too. That pain. You gotta identify that pain point. Now you become passionate, you become driven. The question isn't, can I get a job so I can pay the rent, which is the idea here. The question is, I need to alleviate this pain. I want these young children over in Congo to have light at night so they can study at night. It's really, really fascinating. And oftentimes, I find that the big success comes when you add two things together. Two things, not one thing. two things together. I like watching America Got Talent. It's one of my favorite shows. And I always get inspired by these young. And there's one place I like start crying. They come in, they are ventriloquists, right? You have a puppet in here, but the puppet is doing the talking. It looks like that they're really talking, but it's a ventriloquist. This one ventriloquist did not only that, but also magic, was playing magic with the cards and so forth. It's two things. We had a comedian come in, and the comedian, he said, actually his leg was in a cast. He had to sit down. I'm a sit-down comedian, not a stand-up comedian. But he mixed that with the piano. He goes, have you been to white churches? When you go to white churches, the music is like this. And forgive those who trespass us. If you go to black churches, you all put your hands up. It just was. So it brings together. It's fascinating. So in your pursuit, it's not one thing. Can you find two things that augment one another, but they're not the same? That opens up venues. It's about someone else noticing something that you're doing that no one else is. That no one else is. And even if someone else is doing it, get really good at it. It doesn't be a college-driven thing.
So how do job seekers go about moving from looking for a job to searching for not exactly an alternative, but like you said, two things that can work together, right? So do you have a process to share, or a strategy, or just anything to job seekers interested in seeking another path?
I do. Yeah, true. It is okay to get the money, your income now from something that it is not your love. Don't let it be too much of a burden, because when you come home at night, it changes. We had a conversation with my son the other day. He's the other son, the older boy. The younger one knows what he wants to do. He's on it. He's going like this. The older one is kind of like me, finding out, has a sense of what he likes, what doesn't like. What am I gonna do? He's good with his hands. Hates computers. That's fine. And we came out to this conclusion. I said to him, look, the current job that you're doing, isn't it? He's like, yes. Not suffering. I'm still liking what I'm working with my hands. He builds electric bicycles and so forth. Works with his hands. But, it's not an amazing pay. And he lives with us, which I love it. I love it. I don't want them to go anywhere. If I have a way, I will make sure they stay here as long as possible. But soon enough, they have to take their own wings and go. But I said, it's good. Have this light, easy job that doesn't follow you home. But when you come home, I want you to enroll at there's a Minuteman Academy in here. It's a 1-year thing. Trades. You like working your hands? Think about it. It could be a master electrician, could be a master plumber, could be a master mechanic, could be a master cook. You can become a Michelin star cook if you love to cook. Not just for us. You can start as a chef cooking in a short order cook, mushroom steak and cheese. And it's good to go to an establishment, not just on your own. If you can find a mentor who is an amazing cook and you learn from that cook. Is it bringing you money? No. Is it taking you hours? Yes. You still have to go to the job you don't like in the daytime? Yes. But your core joy, it's psychology. You are saving your psyche from nighttime when you left the work time job. So the work time job, it at least pays the car, pays something good, but the whole mind, the whole being, the whole reckoning is now I am working at this at the vocational school, and I'm learning how to be a master chef. Next thing you know, you'll become an apprentice at the Hilton Hotel. Next thing, you will own your own restaurant. You will start to bringing foods from Japan, from South Korea, infusing it with the American dish. You will cook garlic with the skin on it and how it opens up. Some things need to be cooked for 48 hours. You will invent new dishes. Next thing you know, it's a Michelin star. You own 3 restaurants. How did it start? By doing the boring as just an income that I need to bring in. but at night, it's your second life. So it's not come home and I'm gonna watch TV and this and that. When you come home, the future is, does it pay? No, doesn't pay. Is it taking massive amount of time? Yes, way more than the daytime job. This is the nighttime. Find your nighttime thing. Uh, Easier said than done. Working hard is easy. Finding what it is that you want to do is not easy. So, but it's always a focus. What did your parents do? Something in there is in you. Don't fight it. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? If you're an introvert, you don't have to go do these presentations and this and that. It's okay. It's okay. Make your nighttime meaningful. It will catch.
Thank you so much, Professor Armen, for sharing your wealth of wisdom and sharing lots of strategies for job seekers. Thank you so much for that. Thanks for following us on this conversation so far. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a few, one or two. And I would like you to be our guest on the podcast. So I'm going to drop the link to the form in the description box, and you can fill it in, and you can also be here having a discussion with me. So thank you so much for joining.